Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast. We've got Rohit Srivastava, he's chief investment officer and portfolio manager with Saroj and Bhanu Fund with an AI-based algorithm, predictive analytics, and technical analysis. Given our weekly update, thanks for being back on the podcast.
Well, thank you, Josh. Welcome for our viewers. And first, I'll say the same disclaimer, which is this is all for entertainment. This is all for learning. There is no financial advice we're giving here. This is you do your own research and do your investment. This is all for learning. If you're learning something, then that's where we're here for. And we are talking about a cannabis index. It's not an investable index. And we will talk about an investable index next time when we do the podcast of that. But for now, this is a cannabis index, which is an equally weighted index just to understand how the cannabis market is going on. This is what we were in the inception of our podcast. This was about 2 months ago. This was a month ago, almost a month ago, and last week, and this is where we are right now. So it has passed the 475, and it looks like it is going in the right direction. I would still not get very optimistic on that, but I mean, it is very optimistic, but I'll still not get very optimistic on that and wait a little bit more to confirm that. For now, I think it looks good. The cannabis market overall, it looks good. On the cash flow, we are at a point where this last week we had a great drop of cash flow, and it might be because of a lot of people might be profit taking on some of the stocks. But I think the combination of both of these, that the overall price of the market has remained same, but the market has dropped, just gives me an idea that some of the people are taking profits for that. But overall, I think from here on, we should see a little bit of upside in my view. But on the short and buying sell, there is this, this week we actually sold 3 of our major stocks which we were holding. One of them was in a loss, the -5 of Cron, which we actually made some profit last week, 2 weeks ago. But this was probably a bad signal. But on the other 2, the GWPH and IIPR, we probably are doing very good. We did very good on those returns on those. It's still hovering about 126 on GWPH, and IIPR is still about like $92. But I think the signals were to sell, so we sold that. The only one which we're holding right now is Tara. There is no signal as such as of yesterday that there was a buy signal, but for now, I think that's where we are on that. Overall, I think it's holding good, 475. The cash flow is good, but I think it looks all positive for now. And we sold 3 of our stocks. And I want to give the idea a little bit to our viewers that, these buy and sells which we are doing short term, it is associated with our investable index, which we will talk next week about it. We'll really encourage you guys to look the whole thing at what we're really talking about, the investable index, and how somebody wants to invest in our fund and use that index, how they're going to use it. So just giving an idea about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was kind of expecting for a little bit of a drop, but it looks like there's a breakout because the Head and Shoulders was developing, and it looked like something similar back to what we saw on the charts in October of this year, where it was a 5% drop, and instead the opposite happened, and we had a breakout to the upside. So it's definitely testing those new support levels of 475 rather than dropping down to 450. So I guess that is a good sign, as long as that kind of either continues to move sideways or keep going up. Doesn't really look like it's going down necessarily. So that is maybe some exciting news for some people out there that have been holding and waiting for some good news.
I had some data around this last 1 week, how the change has happened in this last 1 week. And the change is more, the prices of a lot of stocks have dropped in the last 1 week. I was trying to research, what really is causing the cash flow to be so high. Look at these ones. These are the ones which dropped in the last 1 week. 10 out of 19 stocks dropped this week. But the other ones were pretty substantially good. And I think the ones which were substantially good were holding up the cash on the price of the overall. But there has been like ACB, which probably the CEO stepped down. So that probably caused a lot of loss in that.
They took $1 billion write down. And so is this negative 23% representing the weekly drop?
Yes, like from to 11. So they dropped almost 23% in that time. So the cash flow might be coming a lot from some of those aspects out there. Like that's almost like $50 million daily trading value. So
lesson learned is don't write off $1 billion.
Wow. That's true. So I think this is still pretty normal. I don't see any like abrupt stuff happening in my view. I think it's still I think this chart where the price is pretty still heading upwards from the overall market perspective. I think that's pretty reasonable in my view.
I think that's a good sign. Yeah, because like I mentioned before, I was fully expecting that Head and Shoulders to develop, a drop of 5%. The fact that it popped is potentially good news. Not to say that it couldn't go back down to 450 and see, a 5 to 7.5% drop. Yeah. But I mean, from a chart standpoint, it looks good.
That's all I have for you, Josh.
Awesome.
And next week we'll be talking a little bit more about our investable index and give them more detail about how it has performed and in the last 1 year and something data associated with that. So.
Absolutely. And so just to clarify, this cannabis index that we've created since August has been doing really, really well, better than every other competitor. But the algorithm has been in play with over 1.5 million for 3 years with an average return of 42%, doing very well. Smart robot, doesn't eat a lot of food, does its thing. And so we're going to implement that and make this a live investable index. And so you're going to have to stay tuned for how to get involved. So with that, we're going to roll this up. I want to thank Rohit Srivastava, Chief Investment Officer with Saroj and Bhanu Fund, talking about this AI-based algorithm, technical analysis, and predictive analytics. Thanks again for being back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
I am Josh Kincaid, and this is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.